This video is probably going to be pretty rapid fire in terms of questions because I'm finally doing my mid-year freakout tag, and this is long overdue. I should have done it months ago. It is now August that this is getting uploaded on the channel, but I decided to include some books that I recently completed in this mid-year freakout tag to be able to include them. So I kind of kept pushing it off, but I am finally doing this tag for the mid-year freakout tag. So without further ado, we're gonna just go ahead and jump into it. Hi everyone, my name is Rose, also known as TA Summers. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my mid-year freakout tag for 2025, and we're just gonna go ahead and jump into it. We have 13 questions and we're just going to go ahead and roll through them. Some of these books I have not reviewed formally on the channel quite yet, so it will be forthcoming in some wrap-up videos that I have yet to post, but I figure I'd go ahead and mention them in this video since these are all books that I read in 2025. These are all characters and other aspects about the books that are contained within that I've all read in 2025. So they definitely qualify, and without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. First, best book you've read so far in 2025. I have 3 to name. One of them will be adult, one of them will be YA, and then one of them will be an honorary mention. So the first book I want to mention is for adult. By far, one of the best books that I read in 2025 so far is a rollover from 2024. It is Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. And that book definitely impressed me in terms of the combination of being a kind of a crime podcast in one aspect and also an unfurling mystery in terms of things. And it's Amy Tintera's first adult novel. She wrote YA before. I was highly impressed with it, and it was definitely one of my favorite reads. I would definitely recommend the audiobook. The less you know going into that book, the better. And that is true from everyone who recommended it to me, and I definitely emphasize that as a recommendation in terms of things. The less you know going in, the better, because it will surprise you. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Second book that I want to mention is YA. By far, one of my favorite reads for 2025 so far has been That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. I was highly impressed with this book in terms of the unfurling mystery thriller elements of this, involving a girl who has gone missing, and it's kind of a dual storyline that happens between a girl who is in the clutches of a guy who claims to be her father, but and she doesn't have much of a memory in terms of things, and she's trying to figure out the pieces in terms of knowing whether or not this guy is actually her father or if there's something more sinister going on in terms of things. And then the other perspective of this novel is from a boy whose girlfriend goes missing, and there are a lot of and he ends up being the accused of being the last person who saw her, as well as the person who may have harmed her. And you don't know a lot about what's going on in terms of things from the start of the novel, but as these dual perspectives keep going back and forth through the narrative, there's just this very intricate weaving of storyline and compelling narratives from both the missing girl as well as the boyfriend, and a number of different twists that make it very unexpected in terms of the direction that it went. I was thoroughly impressed with this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I have not reviewed it on this channel quite yet. It will be forthcoming. My review will be forthcoming in a future video talking about it in more detail, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and it's definitely one of my favorite YA reads of 2025. And it's also a holdover from 2024. I kind of sad that I didn't read it before this year, but I'm glad that I finally got a chance to get to it. And then honorary mention will be another adult novel, and this is romance, Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. I finished this year, and I definitely enjoyed it. I loved every single part of it. I love the old cover. The new cover is also nice. I've mentioned it on the channel before, but I definitely enjoyed that book as well. Second question, best sequel you've read so far in 2025? I would say it would probably be The Nightmare Hour by H.D. Hunter, which is part of the Futureland series. It's the second book in the Futureland series. And I was thoroughly impressed with how that, the rolling action and the mysteries of that particular middle grade sci-fi action series unfolded. C.J. Walker is a compelling protagonist to follow, like having him put the pieces together in terms of him trying to figure out why these mysterious events are going on in the Futureland park, and while they're in him and his family are in New York, and trying to get the park going after a number of different controversies in the first book. But in the second book it ramps up, and then there's even more of a twist when one of Cam's friends goes missing, and he's compelled to try to figure out what happened to him and why his behavior was so off in terms of things before he went missing. So that's like another piece to it, where it's like, it's just several different layers that were done very, very well in this middle grade installation of this respective series. I highly recommend the series to folks, but I was thoroughly impressed with that follow-up. Third question, new release you haven't read yet but want to in 2025. Miss V's Hot Girl Summer by A.H. Cunningham. I have been meaning to get to this book for the longest time, and I have not had the opportunity to do so, but look at the cover. The cover is gorgeous, and I know that was one of the compelling things about it that I really wanted to get to it for, so I'm definitely excited to be able to get to it, and I definitely want to be able to read it, but like, just it seems like it's so much fun, so I'm highly anticipating it. Let's see, fourth question, most anticipated release for second half of 2025. This one is easy for me to say, and then also I have a galley of this. It's coming out in October. I'm very, very excited to be able to read it. Vagabond by Tim Curry, which is the actor's memoir. I have grown up with so many of Tim Curry's movies, works, narrations. He also narrates the Garth Nix's series, which starts with Sabriel. Like, in terms of things, he's just an accomplished like all-around human being, and being able to read his respective story, his respective words in his memoir is like, I'm very excited to be able to pick it up and give my thoughts about it. But that will be coming out in October of this year, and it'll come sooner than you think, probably in another couple of months as of the filming of this video. So I'm excited to be able to read it and looking forward to it. Question number 5, biggest disappointment of the year in 2025. I don't think anybody's going to guess wrong if you've watched my channel in terms of what my biggest disappointment of 2025 is. Let me just put the picture of it. I have a long ranty review about it written, as well as video, 99-minute video talking about all the problems I had with this respective book. And the less I say about it, the better. The less I say about it, the better. Oathbound by Tracy Deonn, which is the third book in the Legendborn Cycle series. Less I say about it, the better. I've already said enough. Question number 6, biggest surprise of 2025. I would say probably this children's book, and not for the reason that you think. Fred Flips by Frederick Richard, because who in the world said that Frederick Richard was writing a children's book? I had no idea until I picked it up, and I was like, this is so cute. I wish I had known that it was coming out. And like, I was able to get a galley of it after the fact, and it came out, I think, about around February of 2025 or so, earlier this year. So I was like, where in the world was the marketing for this book? I want to, like, and I'm hyping it up as much as I possibly can in terms of, like, people I know because Frederick Richard is a award-winning Olympic medalist and deserves all the accolades. He was the all-around gymnastics champion for 2024. And definitely, like, deserves as many accolades. It's basically a children's book describing his journey in terms of how he started off as a gymnast in terms of things and overcoming obstacles and stereotypes to be able to achieve the things that he did in his life. And it's really cute. The illustrations are really cute. I enjoyed being able to read it, like, as brief of a read as it is. And it was definitely one that surprised me because I did not anticipate, I did not know that it was out. And when I figured it out, I was like, okay, I am definitely picking this up, grabbing it and reading it, and I enjoyed it for what it offered. Question number 7, favorite new author of 2025. I'm going to probably give this to Jas Hammonds. They really impressed me with the book Thirsty, which I talked about on the channel before. It was an emotionally evocative book on the experience of addiction from a teenager who is going through a biracial teenager who is going through a lot of different things. And I've already talked about this book on the channel. I'm definitely going to look more into the author's work as a result. And I definitely think that Jas Hammonds is one of my more recent favorite authors, and to give them their accolades, I definitely wanted to do that with them. Question number 8, newest fictional crush of 2025. I would probably nominate Rome from Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. If you have a guy who will go snorkeling with you with sea turtles and also read investedly in with your favorite romance novel, he is a keeper. Rome was just very, very sweet, and I enjoyed the chemistry between him and Janelle through Only for the Week. Like, I love that book so much. And as I mentioned, it was one of the best books that I read for 2025 as well. So, like, no surprise there. But yeah, Rome, I would definitely nominate for newest fictional crush. I would also probably say Nick from Relationship Goals, because he is very sweet. That is a very underrated book by Christina C. Jones. I like the chemistry between the main characters in that respective book and how it had an eye to a number of different things, including living with the experiences of sickle cell anemia. I will have a dedicated review of Relationship Goals on the channel once I have the opportunity to do so, but that is one that is coming. I read it this month, as of this month, in August, and I really enjoyed it, so a review of that will be coming. But definitely Nick was also a crush for me, like, from Relationship Goals. Like, that, he was very, very sweet. Question number 9, newest favorite character. So this is an interesting one, and it kind of is a separate question from the last one. I would say that my newest favorite character is probably Lester from Shadow Deal by Michael Laron, and this is an adult urban fantasy featuring an older black man as the main character, involved in a lot of different things, and especially with his respective past as a necromancer. He ends up getting dragged back in, kind of against his will, to try to help a family friend after she gets into a pickle in terms of things. I was thoroughly impressed with Shadow Deal as a collective book, and I read that this month. I'm going to have a dedicated review of that on the channel as well. I have not talked about it on the channel except for mentioning it as part of my July TBR, but I did finally finish reading it, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the experience. And Lester was a refreshing protagonist voice, and being able to follow him through the events of Shadow Deal was great. It's peppered with a combination of old wisdom and humor, and just he's a very memorable character, and I definitely plan on reading the rest of the series after reading this first book. It really intrigued me. Question number 10. Book that made you cry. Probably like the closest book that brought me to tears was probably Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I had mixed opinions about this respective book, but the scenes between Hendrix and her mom got to me because it was so close to my experiences as a caregiver in terms of things, and just being able to see those experiences play out on page. It kind of reminded me of my respective experiences and definitely had me tearing up and having to step away from the book for a few times because it was a little bit too close to home. But I really appreciated the level of detail that Kennedy Ryan went into to write Hendrix's story, and having to caregive for her mom, and also being able to see the relationship between her and the main male character of that novel as well. I'll have a dedicated review of that in my expanded thoughts on Can't Get Enough, but that is the last book in the Skyland trilogy by Kennedy Ryan, and I did read it this year. I liked it. There were some parts of it that I didn't care for, but I did appreciate the fact that we got such an eye-opening look into Hendrix and her mom in the unfolding events, and that definitely made me tear up as I was reading through that. Question number 11. Book that made you happy in 2025. I would probably say for this one, A Walk in the Park by Rebecca Witherspoon, because it was so cute. Basically, a couple who ends up accidentally adopting the same dog and having to raise the adorable dog that they get from the shelter, and ends up cultivating a relationship between them as well. And I like the fact that both the hero and the heroine were both plus size, and really just like showed a lot of affection for each other, as well as the dog, in such a short read. I really enjoyed it. It's an Audible original, very, very short. I talked about it on the channel before, but that was a book that had me smiling from ear to ear in terms of while I was reading it, and when I finished it, I was like, that's a satisfying romance. I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. Question number 12. Most beautiful book you've bought this year. Probably, I'm going to go with a middle grade book for this one. Probably The Architect Games by H.D. Hunter. I definitely talked about the Futureland series on the channel before, and I mentioned before that was my favorite cover of the series in terms of how colorful and how beautiful it looked, and the illustrations, the design of the characters, the illustrations within the book, as well as the cover, really captivated me. I thought it was very, very well done. And that is definitely one of the most beautiful book covers that I've had, like in terms of books that I picked up this year. So yeah, I would definitely say The Architect Games by H.D. Hunter, the third book in the Futureland series. And then the last question of the mid-year freakout tag that I'm going to answer is books I need to read before the end of the year. So I have like probably 3 to name among many. I'm still trying to reach my goal of 80 books. I have read 43 so far this year, so I'm making my way towards that goal. I'm a little over halfway, so I'm getting there. But first one that I want to mention is Lovely One by Ketanji Brown Jackson. This is Ketanji Brown Jackson's memoir. She is one of the Supreme Court justices, and she essentially tells her story in this respective book. I have it on audiobook, and I'm going to see what it entails in terms of things, and I'll give you my thoughts about it once I'm finished. Second one that I want to mention is YA. This is A Mastery of Monsters by Lucille Sandberg. I am highly anticipating this dark academia YA read. I enjoyed Lucille Sandberg's Tender Beast. I'm working my way through Delicious Monsters as well in terms of things, and I should be able to finish that pretty soon. But Master of Monsters I have on audio, and I'm going to probably get to that probably either if it's not this month, then it'll be next month in September in terms of me picking it up. But I definitely want to finish it before the end of the year. And then the last one is one that I've had on my TBR for a while, and I've been meaning to read it. I read part of it, but I have not finished the full of it, and I want to be able to finish reading it before the end of this year. Church Girl by Nina Simone. Everybody that I know has enjoyed this book in some form or fashion in terms of things, and I need to just buckle up and read it. And I love the cover of it. I love the cover of it, and it gives those kinds of vibes from what I've heard. So I'm definitely looking forward to read that book in its entirety this year before the end of the year. So that is it for my mid-year freakout tag, book tag, and my first bookish video in a little bit. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be informed when I post new videos. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next video. Bye.